Can telling a cockamamie story supersize your business? Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. And I remember first hearing this expression from my mom when I was a really little girl. I don't remember how old I was, but I remember I thought cockamamie was a hilarious and fun way of describing a story. And she was talking about, I don't know if she was talking about us girls or telling us or talking about the television or whatever when we were little, but she said, well, that's a cockamamie story. And we're like, well, what the heck does that mean? And she said, ridiculous, absurd, far-fetched, silly, probably untrue, but definitely a silly, ridiculous story. So sometimes jokes are cockamamie stories. Humor is a great way to share a story, and adding humor to your story, or any other type of thing that can draw attention to your story, of course, gets attention for your business. This idiom has actually been around since, they say the 1940s, but actually in the 1930s, Arthur Kober had a story in the New Yorker, that used cockamamie. And in the 1940s to 45 is when it became really popular. It's an Americanism. It was first started in America. And in 1942, it was in the movie Woman of the Year or Women of the Year. And so it became popular. My mom was born in when was my mom born? I guess she was born in the 30s. So in the 40s and around that time would make sense that she would have heard and picked that up probably as a child or a teenager, and continued then to know and use that expression periodically to describe something that's ridiculous, silly, absurd, far-fetched. Now, you might be asking yourself, how could I use that in my stories? Because we're talking about stories and our current story versus our desired story in this year's annual challenge, to Get Your Goals annual challenge. And supersizing our business is usually predicated on us setting goals and objectives. So we have to know where we are versus where we want to be. And that's always a story, right? There's a story we tell ourselves all the time, and we do the same thing for our business. Our business has a story. It has an origin story. Why did we start our business in the first place? Why do we exist? Who are we here to serve, and why do they care about it? All of that can be presented to people best in story format. Why? Because stories get through to people. Stories play on our emotions and our thoughts and our feelings and our beliefs about things. They get through the walls and the defenses that we put up because we don't want to be sold, right? We all love to buy. We all want to purchase and buy things, but none of us like to feel like some sleazy salesman is selling us something that we really probably don't even need or want, except they're manipulating us to believe that we need or want that. And stories break through that. If I share a story about my experience with a product or service, I'm not telling someone to buy it. I'm just sharing my personal experience with that. And if people can relate to that, then they might choose to use that as a solution or something that they purchase to help them. But if somebody's just bragging about how awesome they are, or using tips and tricks and strategies and hacks to convince you to do something, or to get you to do something that you maybe aren't emotionally or physically or ready to do, we all feel manipulated and we all feel like we're getting screwed. And that is not the way we want to feel or make people feel when they're doing business with us. So I'd love to know your experience with this. Have you ever heard the expression cockamamie story? Probably comes from poppycock or cock and bull story, stories that are stretching the truth. Fish stories, I guess, would be another example of that. The truth is, excuse me, my throat's cloggy. The truth is I need more coffee this morning. The truth is people do business with people they know, like, and trust. People do business and will do business with your business if they believe that you're authentic. It doesn't mean we can't use cockamamie stories and humorous stories and other people's stories to grow and build and supersize our business. And a lot of times there are whole businesses and whole industries predicated on using humor. I think of the Squatty Potty commercials and that whole commercial advertising agency. All of the things that they do are funny and humorous. They did a bunch of different things that all are predicated on pretty cockamamie stories and ways of presenting things. So it's a business model that works for people. It isn't usually the only strategy that businesses have, but obviously they have proven, I can't remember who that agency is anymore, that is a really successful strategy for them, especially to get people's attention and get people thinking about something that they might not want to think about in a positive way. And we always want people to associate positive things with our business as we grow and build and supersize it. So that's our idiom for today. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you use it to build and grow your business? Why? Because the more we know, the more we understand that people see things differently than we do, the more open we are to presenting things in a way that works for the person that we're communicating with. All right, have an awesome day. Any thoughts, comments, concerns, hit me up. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.